welcome to today's broadcast of A View from the Nest. I'm your eye in the sky, Alan Scott, traveling across the cyberscape from high atop my perch at WNGS Studios, bringing you today's news and commentary from a conservative Christian viewpoint. You may wish to visit us on the web at www.eagleviews.org or follow us on Twitter at Eagle's Nest. Hi folks, Al Scott here, keeping a sharp eagle eye focused on current events, ever vigilant and standing ready to fight for faith, family, and freedom. A true moderate who believes that moderation is the key to freedom. No golden microphone here, just the values of the golden rule. And this is the way I see it. Certain truths are undeniable. The sun will rise in the east and set in the west. If you plant a peach seed, you'll get a peach tree, not an apple tree. Telemarketers will always call you despite being on the national do not call list, just as you're sitting down to eat dinner with your family. And of course, there's a truth that liberals just don't get America. At the Democrat Party's nominating convention in Charlotte, liberals proved that they don't get America. They aired this video, which contained a speaker saying we all belong to the government. Take a listen.
We are committed to all people. We do believe you can use government in a good way. Government's the only thing that we all belong to. We're in different churches, different clubs, but we're together as a part of our city or our county or our state and our nation.
Well, I have news for our commentator. America was not formed with any sort of concept remotely in the minds of the founders, the idea of people belonging to the government. The government belongs to the people, not the other way around. Our Constitution is a set of enumerated powers granted to the government by the people. The people voted and ratified it, not the government. This being the case, it's impossible to say that the latter is greater than the former, since the former empowers the latter. Want to know what the founders really thought about government? Want to know their thoughts in raw, blunt terms? Listen to what Noah Webster had to say on the subject. The supreme power in America cannot enforce unjust laws by the sword, because the whole body of the people are armed and constitute a force superior to any band of regular troops that can be, on any pretense, raised in the United States. A military force, at the command of Congress, can execute no laws, but such as the people perceive to be just and constitutional, for they will possess the power, and jealously will instantly inspire the inclination to resist the execution of a law which appears to them unjust and oppressive. Noah Webster, An Examination of the Leading Principles of the Federal Constitution, Philadelphia, 1787. That doesn't sound to me like a people owned by government. Does it sound that way to you? It's really amusing to hear at a national Democrat convention this talk of inclusivity and we all belonging to one big happy family. It wasn't too terribly long ago that the Democrats were strongly opposed to the abolition of slavery. The Republican Party for years was trying to pass civil rights acts and laws, and the Democrats opposed it constantly. They're the party of the Ku Klux Klan. They're the party of the Jim Crow laws. They're the party of the poll tax. And now they're talking about we all belong in one big happy family. I know Democrats aren't too happy with Tea Party members. They consider them right-wing radicals. So I don't see them being included. In fact, I don't see them talking much to the Republicans at all as far as being inclusive in government and how things work. It's not one big happy family up on Capitol Hill. To understand the Democrat and their policies, you have to understand their concept of thinking that no one can succeed without their help. Remember when Obama said this?
If you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we had that allowed you to thrive.
Yeah, Mr. Obama, if you didn't know who that was our founding fathers. Those that came over here from foreign nations risked their lives to set up a nation long before the government was established. You know, America existed long before 1776. You know, America existed long before there was a constitution and a federal government. There were towns and cities and colonies that were doing just fine. Those 13 colonies decided to get together and form the federal government. It was out of the citizenry that this government was formed. That's what established this American system that allows you to thrive, Mr. Obama, that gives you a position, that gives you a place, a salary, a pension, civil service protection, and perks that average citizens don't get. So you work for us. We don't work for you. Your office belongs to the people, not to the government. Washington, D.C. is a construct of the people. Therefore, it's the citizenry that made America. You had help from us. We didn't get help from you. It's this concept of individual rights and freedoms that the Democrats don't seem to get. They like grouping us into groups, pitting one group against another, giving special privileges, granting special favors to particular groups to get them to vote for their party. It's these government-granted special privileges and rights that is foreign to the founding of our country. The Declaration of Independence says we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is a very important concept. The signatories of the Declaration were saying that certain rights are built directly into each human being. You don't actually have to believe in God to understand the concept. You enter this world with unalienable rights that are not granted by the government, and therefore cannot be withdrawn at the pleasure or displeasure of the government. From this concept was drawn one of humanity's greatest moral and intellectual achievements, laws that restrain the government. That's what the Constitution is all about, particularly the Bill of Rights. In essence, it's a list of things the government cannot do, even with the overwhelming democratic support of its citizens. The Constitution itself can be amended, but that's very difficult to do, and no such amendment would be legitimate if it were an offense against the very narrow set of rights endowed by our Creator. This is a key component in the transition from a raw democracy and mob rule toward the vastly superior governance of a lawful republic. Therefore, claiming we all belong to government and claiming that government is the source of rights is dangerous. Governments are capricious. Prior to January 1973, preborn babies were protected by the law. 7 men on the Supreme Court consigned tens of millions of preborn babies to the disposal bin of history in their singular ruling in Roe v. Wade. One day, preborn babies were protected. The next day, they were globs of tissue. Governments are ordained by God. The Bible describes a civil magistrate as a minister of God, Romans 13:4. The Bible does not regulate women, Hispanics, blacks, or any other to an inferior position in society. Only autonomous governments can do that. So you see, we belong to America. We belong to a town, a city, a location, a family, a church, maybe a civic organization or some other group. But our rights come from God, not from government. So when the Speaker of the DNC may mention that we're all belong to the government, that's his hope. That's their intent. For you see, liberals will not rest. They will not sleep. They will not stop. They will never, ever, ever rest until the government of the people, by the people, for the people, is replaced with people of the government, by the government, and for the government. A great deal of legislation has been passed in the last few decades. have been a direct violation to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, because they're slowly stripping us of our individual identities and replacing them with group identities, making us subjects of a centralized government. We're losing control of our own lives, our own destinies, our own choices, our own individuality, and we're being consumed by the collective. No, I'm sorry. We are not all part of the government. The government is a part of us. We need to remind them of that this election and vote out all these people that believe that we're subjects of the government, and remind them that they're subjects of our will. They're government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that's the way I see it. This has been A View from the Nest. Thank you for stopping by. If you like to visit us, surf on over to www.eagleviews.org or like us on Twitter @EaglesNest. Until next time, this is Alan Scott. Good day. This has been A View from the Nest. The statements, comments, or opinions expressed are solely that of the author and do not represent the views or opinions of this site or any affiliates thereof.